To the infamous, some people call it the famous. I'm one of the people who think it's the famous, because what do you got to be infamous? You got to be in trouble all the time, right?
Right.
And then there's a wanted poster out there, and we don't want that, okay? Because we got the best sheriff in the town right there. She got the badge on, let me tell you, okay? On a serious note, I was asked to come down here to give a presentation on trail self-defense and safety on the trail. That's why I'm standing in front of you right now. Now, one thing I might have to bring up as a disclaimer. My job before becoming a horse trainer and being a clinician was I was an alien hunter. Not the kind you're talking about across the border, but the ones from outer space. And I was good at it. I was really good at it. Sir, did you ever see any aliens from outer space?
Nope.
You're welcome. So that being said, I ran out of a job. Okay, so that's why I'm horse training in front of you, and you have to bear with me with my corny jokes now. Okay? All right. So I was asked to do a presentation for about 15. Hello, how you doing?
I'm too old.
Oh, really? Is that so? We got a motivated future horseback rider in the midst. You're gonna learn some good stuff today. All right, getting back on presentation. Horse foo. What is horse foo? Ah, I like that. Debbie's going, ah, I like that. That is 110%. Raise your hand if you've seen John Wick. TV show John Wick. Okay? Awesome. Put your hands down. If you've seen Bruce Lee, raise your hand.
Yes.
Okay? So most of that is type of a martial art type of thing. But what's really common nowadays is the John Wick movies and a lot of movies nowadays has become popular for people. They call it gung fu. Gung fu is where they're shooting and they're using karate and kung fu together, and so Hollywood calls that gung fu. Okay, so I started thinking about that, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of catchy. I kind of see it for the younger generation why they like that. So what if my horse becomes a weapon? That could be horse foo. Okay, caught up to modern times now. We're liking this. Okay, but if you go back before our new generation, it was simply known as horse trail self-defense. Period. Okay, so that's why you see on the screen there John Wick with his gun, and he got a horse and his Jeep, and that's what we're going to talk about. Now, I know inside this room, if I put all the years together, if I've ever been riding horses, doing stuff, and all the courses everybody's been to, you know way more than I do. There is a lot of wealth experience in here. I tip my hats to everybody, to you. Okay? And I'm probably not going to tell you anything you don't know already. But I will share some ideas of what we can teach and make you think, huh, I never thought about that before. And that's what we're going to talk about. So I was asked to do a presentation, and then later on possibly doing a clinic on the topics that we're covering tonight. Let's see if my clicker works. Any questions so far, anything I've covered? Fantastic. All right, mounted safeguard for trail riders. That is my mission statement right there from Elliston Equine Solutions. Elliston Equine Solutions has been around for a long time. I also go to Germany to teach horsemanship clinics, not specifically this task. I've also have Taiwanese, so I'm actually international and a national clinician. Okay, I just don't pop everything around because I don't need to. I just enjoy the culture, the food, and seeing people meet folks like yourself. Any question on the mission statement up there? Now, what Elliston Equine Solutions does provide is two things. You could do a clinic, which means you get hands-on practice with your horse, or we could do a symposium where you watch me do everything with my horse, and then you go home, take your notes because you got time to take it, and then you apply it where you want to and comfortable of wherever you're at. So those are the two different things that we use. Okay, case studies. Can it happen to me? It's interesting, Deb here, right from me, we just met tonight. This is our second time in meeting. First time for myself, obviously. And she goes, there's really not much happens on trails. That's a good thing. But that one time it doesn't, that's what we're worried about. Okay, that one time. So here's a case study. There was, not the guy in the picture, makes it out alive, and he's highly trained. Makes it out alive, all those combat diplomats say, I got a bucket list. I want to go down the Appalachian Trail. I want to go hike at camp and be close to nature. He sets up camp. This gentleman in the picture, James Jordan, shows up to the campground and says, hey, can I join you? He's like, yeah, sure. Kind of looking at him and everything. And next thing you know, Mr. Jordan there pulls out his knife and starts going to town on our war veteran. War veteran dies. You think with his training, with his gut instincts, everything he's seen, he was probably thinking the same thing. It will never happen to me. But it did happen. It did happen. Next case study. Appalachian Trail once again. And the Appalachian Trail is very safe. There's people hike on it every year, multiple people, and nothing happens to them. But we're only concerned about that one time. That one time. So, America Fest by a hiker. This gentleman decided that he's going to take a hatchet and chop up somebody on the trail. Clearly, he was a couple eggs short of omelet. He was successful. Guy was on parole. And can you see where it says which town?
Tucson.
Tucson. Does that hit home where we are right now?
Oh, wow.
Tucson. Okay. So there is articles of danger. Meredith Emerson, Blood Mountain, Georgia. She was 61 years old. I'm sorry, Gary was 61 years old. Befriended and hiked at the same time that 24-year-old Meredith was hiking. She was hiking, and a guy by himself comes up and does a bad thing. He was sentenced to life prison, later being charged with 3 additional murders, which means he's done it in the past.
Wow.
Next case study. This one, it was over the news. Local in Arizona. Phoenix police family of Lauren Heike hold news conference about her murder. This was a lady just decided I want to work out and go for a run down the local trail. She never returned. She never returned. Kind of reminds me of a young lady just passed away recently that got murdered so over the news.
Yep.
She never thought it was going to happen to her. This stuff reaches home deep in my chest. Deep in my chest because I care. I'm also an Arizona Ranger, a part of the mounted unit. And we do a lot of training with different types of scenarios. With search and rescue, with different units and stuff. And we hate seeing stuff that happens like this. Come on, have a seat. Glad you guys are here. Here's one for you. This is a truck and trailer incident. This is just recently in Pinal County. This gentleman decided that Wolf with an E decided that he liked this truck and trailer, so he assaulted this elderly female and stole the vehicle. This could happen to us at a trailhead. Think about a trailhead. You got your trailer, truck there. A lot of you go out. I see it all the time out the ranch. On the way between Mescale movie set and into Happy Valley, there's trailers parked all over on that dirt strip. Truck and trailer, it can happen. because we've got I-10, which is a major corridor that runs up and down the road. You have a lot of shitty people that hike up and down I-10, even though they're not supposed to. But where else are they going to hike? You also have illegal aliens all the time coming through, find a place to camp. So it does happen. So I can picture you not paying attention, myself not paying attention, and somebody whacking me over the head, grabbing my truck and trailer, taking it to Mexico and selling it. It is a possibility.
How recent was this one?
This one here was 2023. I don't remember specifically which date. Okay, Colorado had the same thing, sexual predators. And I'm not trying to scare you. Once again, it is only to open your eyes and let you know it can happen one time. And one time is all you need. So here's some more case studies in Colorado. There are a lot of homeless up and down Colorado Springs. Every large city, large trails have homeless. We know that. But here's the second point, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people with warrants camp out at campgrounds out in the wilderness.
Yeah.
A lot of people that have warrants, once again, hide out at local campgrounds out in the wilderness. That's where we go to ride our horses. That's where we go to camp to enjoy recreational times. And they know that a game warden, which is law enforcement, normally covers a landmass the size of Rhode Island. Huge, with one of them. And they're understaffed.
Right.
To me, that would be a point of concern. Anybody disagree with me on that?
Nope.
Here is example, real case study, of this gentleman assaulting a carriage horse. I just went online just with Mr. Google. I didn't read up in the backstory, but I can tell you this stuff does happen.
It's crazy.
These fine folks here were just telling me a story about a guy on a trail that's known for yelling and screaming and cursing people out on the trail for no reason. And then we discussed a different story about Lizard Man. But it can happen. Here's an example of a lady. She decided that she was going to go to a trailhead, parked her vehicle there, and when she came back, a lot of stuff was missing from her vehicle. You can see the windows smashed open there. It is smashed open. When you're hiking, you don't want to carry a lot of stuff with you, so you lock your vehicle up. And we'll talk about this more here shortly. Here's an interesting one for safety you would never dream of. A 14-year-old girl decides she's going to ride her horse. She gets hit by a train.
What?
How does that happen?
Yeah.
Can anybody come up with a scenario? How does that happen? Say again?
The horse spooked and ran.
Okay, the horse spooked and ran, probably from hearing that loud locomotive, the screeching of the wheels on the train track. But how many here have ever seen a horse? Let me describe it a little bit better. You have railroad tracks, you have pavement, and you have the little dividers going over top the railroad tracks, and then you get on the other side. Okay? How many of you have ever seen a horseshoe get caught in that?
Oh, yeah.
I have.
Oh, my gosh.
I've seen it in Missouri.
Wow.
So it does happen. So you have to have situational awareness to be safe. So we have to think about this, because remember, the whole class that we're talking about is trail safety and self-defense. Now, I feel it getting real dark in here. Everybody's concerned faces in here. So I got a question for everybody right now. And you gotta raise your hand if you got the answer. Which side of the horse has the most hair?
Oh, you tricked me with that one already.
Which side of the horse has the most hair?
The
The outside. The outside. It is a bad joke, but I love it. Everybody's just trying to get seeing that big clouds going over top of her. We got to brighten up the mood here. Okay. All right, moving on away from the two-legged critters to the four-legged critters. Because not only do you have to worry about the two-legged critters we talked about, but you have four-legged. You have dogs. You're on a trail, you got wild dogs coming up on you. Or some pet from some camper that goes wandering away from the campsite. That's happened to me before. And they start yakking away at your horse. I gotta show you this. I gotta share this with you though. I've seen this on FaceCrack. You know what FaceCrack is? Otherwise known as Facebook. Okay? There's a lot of crack addicts on there always checking their Facebook. But this was a good post I liked on there. What is the difference between a Western rider and an English discipline rider when it comes to dogs?
I know the difference.
You know the difference?
I know the difference.
What's
Yep.
the difference?
The English rider goes, "Oh, get your dog away from my horse." The Western rider says, "Come up here, make my horse get used to that dog."
There you go. Okay? If you can hear what Lita said, Western riders say, hey, bring that dog up here, keep it barking, because I want it to get desensitized to it. What would you rather have? A hand where you don't like nothing? And you're just on the trail, oblivious? Or would you rather be armed with knowledge and teamwork with your horse?
Yep.
Thank you, I would too.
Yep.
Okay? So, this is the first topic. Well, we have a, once again, symposium clinic. That's up to your Saddle Club and members here. But what I can tell you is trailhead safety and considerations. Into the weeds of it, because that's not what this is for tonight. We're trying to get out of here early, remember? Before we get started.
Before it gets
Okay.
dark.
Number two, a mental alertness and situational awareness. How do you develop that? There's a lot of techniques in law enforcement and military to help you keep your head in the swivel to make sure that nothing happens to you. Because that's your number one defense, situational awareness. Coming in here, I already know where the exits are. I know what my plan is coming out here already. I've already looked. I've looked at a lot of stuff already. I've already scanned the crowd outside. I've already looked at the security guard that was out there with no sidearm because he's not allowed to for his security thing. But I look and I scan and look at everything. You need to develop the same habits out there on the trailhead, especially if you're by yourself or with one other person. If you're a big group like this, somebody needs to be watching, but there's probably less chance of somebody doing something bad with the whole group of riders. Okay? So that is a benefit being here. But we'll cover that. Raise your hand if you ever heard of Jeff Cooper. Jeff Cooper was a very famous lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps, got out after serving World War II, did a stint in the military, and started the modern pistol sidearm courses that we know today for self-defense, specifically with 1911. He had a color code system, kind of like a radar. And there's 5 stages. Code white, code yellow, code orange, code black, red, and then black. They all meant something. How to react during that time. That's what we'll teach you in this course, because you got to have a mindset and the heart to follow behind it. So we'll talk about those different techniques. Sizing up people in a hurry. How can you find and identify who's good and bad? Because it doesn't matter if they're young, except maybe this young. Doesn't matter what their age is, doesn't matter what their gender is. Anybody can hurt somebody. And that is a fact. Use of force continuum. We'll talk about what are the rules. Can you use castle doctrine while you're mounted on your horse? What is the state law on that, on your horse? Can you use castle doctrine? What is castle doctrine? Okay? That is stuff we'll cover. That is where, if you're in your house, here's an example, or your vehicle out there, you drove in, and somebody tries to do harm to you, and they try to break the glass to get in, reach in, you are authorized to use self-defense on them, because that's your castle, your time, by state law. But we'll cover that type of stuff, okay? Use force continuum. Can you yell? Can you use pepper spray, bear spray?
Yeah.
Can you use a sidearm? Can you use a taser to get knocked off your horse? Different escalations of force to use to save yourself if attacker gets you. So we talk about prevention first, and then if it happens, and what do you do when it does happen? That's the stressful situation. Do you know tunnel vision goes on? I love it. There's a video on YouTube where I have a ball, okay? I have a ball, and job is you'll pass it to each other, and nobody can drop that ball. So everybody's watching this ball, and they're filming this, by the way. And the camera's right there. Everybody is so intent on the ball getting thrown and dropping it that a gentleman comes in with a gorilla suit, waves in the camera, and comes back out. The exercise stopped. The instructor says, "How many of you seen the gorilla come in?" What gorilla? Because they were so tunnel vision where the ball was the ball going to me, that they didn't look out to the side to see what was going on. So we'll talk about tunnel vision. Your gross motor skills going down. How to protect yourself when age makes a difference. That's the kind of stuff we'll talk about. And then after the incident, if it goes that way, we'll talk about what happens to your body naturally.
Can I talk?
And how to counter what's going on and good examples of how to reduce the stress after whatever happened. Doesn't matter again, once again, if it's one-legged or two-legged. Then we'll cover personal protections against animals. What can we use against dogs? What can we use against wolves? Mountain lions? Something with rabies. And yes, you'll say, I'll just use my gun. Okay. Is your horse gun trained?
No.
You better be, I don't know. Would I trust shooting somebody if the perpetrator already took my bridle off my horse? And if I shot, my horse would take off, how am I going to stop my horse?
You're not.
Yes, you can.
Yep.
Okay? And that's what I'll show you later on. How can you slow or stop the horse down if somebody removes your bridle? How do you prevent somebody from moving the bridle? I'm in a trailhead. Once again, how do I use my horse when it's tied up to the trailer? All right, and then we'll talk about using your horse for defense. If somebody tries to grab you, pulls you off. How do you use the horse to hit them with the hips, for example, it's one technique, and then ride away in a fast, safe manner, and then call 911. We could show that. What if you were off your horse? You see somebody coming and you go take off, try to get mounted up. Have you ever seen a horse when you run up to it and then the horse gets scared because of your body language, because that's reason, and then they turn around and take off?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So how do you teach a horse not to do that? We'll show you that in the clinic. We don't really worry about it. But if you go down to an arena in English, and I know this is stereotyping, but you go to an English discipline stables, like no dogs present, must be on a leash, they must be this or that. They don't want no dog to blow up that horse, okay? So that's just a subtle difference. So that's my lead in. Yeah, show bar. All right, so we're talking about dogs a little bit. There is a case study on that. I think we've talked enough about dogs on that. You can see this dog particularly, maybe rabies, whatever, attacking a horse. How to handle wild animals encounters. there is a wolf. This guy up in Montana decided to protect his horses and shoots a wolf. There's a picture of a grizzly with a horse going at it. To me, it looks like it's Photoshop, but it's good enough for this presentation. Because I doubt anybody was out there actually taking pictures of a live incident. Now, somebody did with mountain lion.
That I've seen before.
Yep, that one's all over social media. And that is also up in Montana, that mule, from my home state.